Welcome to the Family First Retirement Podcast with George Politarhos. For more information, visit betrayowealth.com. Now, let's get to the show.
Tell me about it, George. The Family First Retirement Plan. What does it involve?
It's not like you're going to a big box firm that pushes, X, Y, Z, and you're 65 years old. This is the plan for you, and they slide you down the assembly line. We are each different and unique individuals. And Mark and I have this argument all the time, but because we build the plan to fit your needs, your wants, and your desires. Because I wear a size 15 shoe, folks, and Mark wears a size 6. And the difference is what's right for me is not necessarily right for my friend Mark. But we build the plan for you, and that's what makes it so special. We go through that plan, and what we give you is your retirement. How are you going to plan for retirement? Where's the money at that we earmark for retirement? Is it your 401k? Is it your TSP? Is it a 403b, a money market, a CD? How about taxes? Taxes are a huge question.
Yeah.
We're going to address tax issue because if you're not planning for taxes, folks, you are doomed to failure in retirement. Mark, what do you think the 3 biggest concerns for retirees are into retirement?
Number 1, and it continues to be and will always be, running out of money in retirement. Number 2, long-term care and healthcare. And number 3, taxes in retirement.
Bing, 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 bing. You get to go on The Price is Right. Great job.
That is, I learned that from you, George
right.
Politarhos.
Thank you. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
A, am I going to run out of money? The word part here is we got good news for you, and we got some bad news for you. The good news is you're living longer. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. The bad news is you're living longer. Congratulations. We need to make our funds last longer into retirement for higher cost and have a better value of life.
You've put a Family First retirement plan together. Everything looks great. You've done a lot of work. Everything looks to be exactly where it should be. Right before they retire, right before I retire, boom, there's a market correction. What happens then?
Great question, Mark, because that can change our retirement completely. A, do I now retire? Let's take an example. I lost 25% of my retirement account. We had a correction, went down 25%. Do you, A, get to retire still and have the retirement you worked so hard for, and at that point thought you had? The answer is no. You're not going to have the same results being 25% less. B, maybe you don't retire now because I need to work to recuperate what I lost and to get back to where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Simple math, right? If I lose 25% of my value, how much do I have to gain to get back to where I was?
If you lose 20, you need to gain 50%.
You need to double your loss, get back to what you had. So we have to rebuild our wealth, right? Because over these years you've been working, folks, you've accumulated a great amount of money. You've done a great job. But now we have to maintain what we have. And some of that money needs to be someplace safer from the market adjustments, the volatility of the world. But if people tell you don't need some risk in retirement, they're misleading you. Mm-hmm. Because you still need to have some risk to have some additional growth opportunities, but it has to be proportionate. It's really about how the importance of planning is. When you call me at 302-330-2166, we'll go through that with you. I am truly a conservative when it comes to retirement planning, flat out. When I sit there and look at you, I want to make sure that if the world goes a heck in a handbag tomorrow, that you're going to be okay. You hear those black swan events?
COVID.
Which are, terrorist
market
attacks.
Crash, 9/11.
Market crash. Things that we can control. Because let's be realistic about this. There's so many things we can't control in the world, right? We can't control the markets. We can't control cost of health insurance. But some things we can control. We can do tax planning. We can be proactive in our approach. We can plan to live longer. We can plan to have long-term care to help our later years be comfortable as possible and not be such a burden, perhaps, on our children. I hate to think of myself as being a burden to my boys.
Yeah.
But to be a burden upon your children, or how about this, a burden upon your loved one, your wife, your husband. If I'm 80 years old and my wife's 82, yes, she is older, am I going to be able to take care of her the way I need to? Physically, am I going to be able to? I need help, maybe. Having long-term care in place, having a plan to address those issues is what's so darn important. And people think you start to plan for retirement, Mark, when you're ready to retire. That's another one of those fallacies out there.
Myth.
You start to plan. It is. If you haven't started planning yet, folks, it's okay. But the best time to start planning for retirement is today. When you call us at 302-330-2166, we'll start that planning process for you to walk you through it. And it doesn't happen in one day. If you've accumulated $200,000 plus for retirement, you need to pick up the phone and call us at 302-330-2166. Or better yet, go to our website, Patria Wealth. That's PATRIA wealth.com, and schedule that no cost, no obligation meeting. I want you to come into the office and meet myself. Obviously, we're going to sit down and talk, but you're going to meet Angie about Medicare. It's a huge confusion, especially now.
Mm-hmm.
Do I sign up for Medicare A? Do I sign up for Part B? Do I get a supplement plan? Do I take Medicare Advantage? What's the pros and cons? It's really confusing. And we always talk about how at Patria Wealth, our job is to take the gray out of retirement and make it black and white. Well, that Medicare question is beyond gray. It's like no lights on. I can't tell the difference between X and Y.
Yeah.
So you need to get there. You need to meet Achilles. You need to meet Jared. And obviously, you need to meet with Ernie Calais, our CPA in-house, our business partner. We talk about taxes. I don't know if you worry about tax or not, Mark. I worry about it every day.
Every day.
I love our country. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the way the government spends my money. So our job is to do everything that's legally and morally acceptable to keep as much of our money in our pocket as possible. Do your homework on what tax plans are coming out, what the opportunities are, because no one cares about your money like you do.
That's right.
You should. But when you sit and put a little time into planning, when you come into the office and meet with me, I need your time to plan so you can make the right choice. So you do have to put a vested interest in here, Mark. And folks, if you have $200,000 plus saved for retirement, you need to call us at 302-330-2166. Jared, you're going to speak with Achilles, or Angie is going to answer that call. We're going to answer those questions and set the time for you to come into the office. We're here at 501 Silverside Road, Suite 31 in Wilmington, 19809. And you got to take the first step. It's about people that, you have to have a vested interest in your retirement, just like anything in life. Mm-hmm. How many people do you know that say, I want to be in better shape?
Everybody says that.
Everybody says it. And they do nothing. They sit on the couch. They don't go for a walk. They don't eat better. And then they complain because nothing's being accomplished. Yep. They're not getting any better. But you got to do something to get better. And by doing something financially to get better is picking up the phone and calling us at 302-330-2166. And let's start this process together. I just had a customer I was talking to, and I do a lot of customers throughout the country. And this woman's from Jacksonville, Florida. And our conversation the other night was not a very good conversation. It's just because we have to fix some things. We have a few years, but she was grateful we had the information that we're helping her take step one, to take step two, to start to run down this life of retirement. Call me at 302-330-2166, and let's start this step together.
Zoom consultations are always available from the team at the Patria Wealth Group. You can begin the initial consultation via Zoom, whatever is more convenient for you. 302-330-2166, PatriaWealth.com to take advantage of that family first retirement plan. And George mentioned a couple of seconds ago the importance of Medicare, Medicaid, and it can be very overwhelming. We had an incredible conversation with Angie, one of the team members of the Patria Wealth Group, and also George's sister. Her whole focus is all about Medicare and Medicaid because she's experiencing it herself. And if you'd like to hear that conversation, we invite you to check out the Family First Retirement Podcast. You can find it across all podcast platforms, commercial free, plus more shows available. Always get more information, PatriaWealth.com. Okay, I want to talk for a second here about risk. Is there a certain age where you look at somebody and you say, all right, Joe, you've done a good job with your retirement. Let's back off the risk now because you're not getting any younger because risk is a young man's game. How often does that happen?
Often, pretty much every day, Mark, to be quite honest with you. A lot of people sit there and they start their 401k. They start their managed funds. They start their TSP, their 403b, and they put something in an account. And let's just say they're in the stock market 100%. And they're 30 years old and they forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing well, thank God. But they have a luxury that you and I don't. Well, I don't, Mark.
No.
You're a bit less. But we have the age as an issue, right? So they're close. They're farther away from retirement. They can afford more risk and volatility through their life.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, you need to adjust the station, so to speak, on your dial to work that more into your age-appropriate comfort. Did you ever go out somewhere and see a guy or a woman wear clothes that are made, they're 65 years old. I am not 65, but they're 65 years old, and they're wearing clothes that a 25-year-old wears.
Yes, I've been to Miami.
See, there you go. It's really age-appropriate clothing they need to wear, right? Not the Speedos on the men, but more appropriate clothing.
Exactly, yeah.
Same thing with retirement. The older we get, we need to be more appropriate with our retirement. I always say I want you to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm worried about something, if there's something in the world, if I'm worried about Archer, I'm worried about, the dogs or Leslie or the boys, I don't sleep. I wander the house. And when I wander the house, the dogs really like that because I pick in the refrigerator and they get to have snacks with dad. But retirement, we shouldn't have sleepless nights. We should be comfortable. And having that adjustment of our retirement assets more into our age appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
So at 60, for example, you should have about 60% of your retirement type accounts in safer investments with less volatility and risk. Real simple. And I use a lot of time indexed annuities, fixed indexed annuities in that classification. A couple good reasons why they fit so well for most people. I use the word most, not for all. Mm-hmm. For most people is no cost, no fees. Do you get all the upside with a fixed index annuity of the market when it goes up? No, you don't. But you get none of the downside.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's a little bit of our safety feature. Safer money. You still get average 4 to 6%. Some years you get 0. Some years you get 5, 6%. Average in between 4 and 6 as a rule.
But you're not paying the fees.
But you're not paying the fees and you can sleep tomorrow. Do you care for investment, for retirement account, folks, if Russia invades Ukraine more or goes into Poland? You don't care for your money part. You care obviously for human beings,
sure,
but you don't care for your money part. Do you care if there is, an earthquake in Wichita, Kansas? You care, but you don't for your finances. The other 40% that we have left over out of that 60, 100%, 60 in the safe money, 40% at risk, but some of that money we're going to put in emergency funds. So God forbid, my case, Alex or Jarrett needs a new roof. I have money available in emergency funds. The other 30%, you have to have some risk involved. Have you gone through the last 3 years with inflation?
Oh, yeah, we all have.
Right? We figure inflation is usually because the country runs really well as a Swiss Army clock
mm-hmm.
at about 3.25, 3.5% inflationary rate per year, give or take. It runs smoothly, I should say. When you have 22%, 21% inflationary rate cost increases over the last 3+ years, it's hard to account for that when you do a financial plan. Let's be realistic about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So we need money in the market for risk to have a little bit higher increases with growth. Maybe have some downsides with that. What's nice is when you work with Achilles, who handles our managed funds in the office, we have a proprietary program we use that outperforms the standard S&P 500 with less volatility and less risk involved. And it gives you the mixture you need for what makes you sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need that upside risk. You need that. But you also need the safety. Mark, you and I are built a lot alike. We look like we could be basketballs in a different lifetime. But did you ever see when you see the high wire act at the circus, which I love?
Yes, sir.
And you have the high wire person walking on top and they jump and they land on this.
Do a backflip and land on. Oh, yeah. Like the size of a Sharpie.
I know you and I can't do backflips sitting in the pool, let alone on a wire.
I trip on my own feet in the kitchen.
But sometimes, and they're professionals, they land on that thing and bounce off that wire every time.
Right.
But sometimes they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And when they fall, they have a safety net. Your fixed index annuities that you have on your left hand, folks, in your left pocket, is your safety net. So when they fall, they have that protection where, you know what, I didn't make any money, but I didn't lose a cent.
Is an annuity an opportunity to build retirement income, or is the annuity a way to protect retirement income?
That's part of your protection mode. Your dome over that wealth accumulation you've built. This is the wealth management stage where we get to put that money in a safety dome where if the world goes a heck in the handbag, I don't care. So, for example, you have $500,000 saved for retirement.
Okay.
You're 65 years old, 60 years old. About 60% of that 500,000 should be someplace safer from the market adjustments, the volatility, roughly. And when I say that number, Mark, this is not edged in stone. You're 60 years old, 60% has to be here. It's a gauge to work off of. Because some people say, I really like going to Atlantic City, George.
Yeah.
And put my money on black. Okay, so we change those numbers according to what makes you comfortable.
Right.
But say 60%, so $300,000, that's 500, needs to be in a fixed index annuity. I get zero costs. I have a guarantee that I'll never have less than $300,000 come heck or high water tomorrow, next year, next month. When the markets go up, I get to share in the upside growth of the markets. When the market goes down, I freeze where I'm at. They are kind of like using an old-fashioned fireman's ladder. If you ever picture those old-fashioned fire trucks, and they brought the ladder off the side of the fire truck and they lean it against a house, and they slide it up and down, right? Don't ask me. I'm not good with words, but the rails is what they slide up and down. And as the ladder goes up, the hooks step onto the next.
Yeah, latches on to each. Yeah,
latches on, right?
Yeah.
So I stayed right here. So the markets went up. My anniversary comes. I go up a step and I lock on. The next year, the market goes down terribly. The world goes crazy. We lose money everywhere. I am locked on this step where I can never go backwards. When the market recuperates, I start to slide up to the next step and I lock on the next step. A couple things about that when you think about that. If you have money in the stock market and you're at $200,000, let's say the market goes down 10%. So I go down $20,000, I'm at 180. When the market goes up, I'm starting from gaining at 180, building my way back up, right?
Yep.
With the fixed index annuity, you have $300,000 in there, and you got 5% growth this year. Help me out, Mark. 315. So my account rose to 315,000. My ladder slid up a hook and locked on that step at $315,000. The next year, the market went down that 20% we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
The crazy money, the risk money went down to 180. Guess where I stayed at?
315.
315. Now when the market starts to go back up, I get to grow from 315 and I get 5% the next year. So that's $337,000. I lock up on the next step.
The ladder is like the annuity.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And that's how you lock in. You're not going backwards to move forwards. You're locked in. And that's what makes the annuity so good. Now, do I grow as much as I'm going to grow with the assets under management, the stock market? No, I'm not. But I'm never going to go backwards as the stock market goes backwards. I played football in college, and it's the only way I went to college. Was on football.
Not for your brains.
We had no money.
Yeah.
My family didn't have any money. And it was either I should have taken the other alternative, to be honest with you, and went to Marines. But I made a mistake, a young man making stupid mistakes. But when I was an offensive lineman, I loved drive blocking, run blocking, because I got to push off and get in someone's face every time. I wasn't a huge fan of backing up from people in pass protection. And that's what the way the annuity is. You're constantly staying where you are. You're pushing forward. With the assets under management, you go backwards, you go up. You go backwards, you go up. Volatility, up here, Mark, you don't know this term. We get agita.
I don't know.
Agita, you get all wheezy in the stomach. I know you people down south, but we get agita. That's my job, is take the agita away, give you the safety net you need to get in a better place for tomorrow. So give us a call, 302-330-2166, or go to Patria Wealth, Patria Wealth.com to schedule that appointment. If you save $200,000+, pick up the phone and give us a call, 302-330-2166.
You call it agita. Down here, we just get the
agita.
We get the. There's more of a sound effect. That's what we get. Insurance and annuities offered through George A. Politarhos, Delaware Insurance License Number 1373121. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.